Hi, I'm Ben Ferguson, and welcome to your AMAC Weekly News. The impeachment trial is heated up in the Senate. Now, this comes after Nancy Pelosi held onto the articles of impeachment for over a month solely for political reasons. Now, this after she said it was vital that we impeach the president immediately to save our democracy. Well, thanks for shooting yourself in the foot on that one, Nancy. Now, what we do know is that liberals are not happy with how the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell decided to proceed with the trial. McConnell did so in the most fair way possible, but apparently the same rules that applied to former President Bill Clinton cannot also be used for President Trump in the eyes of the Democrats. Now, there was also some other major breaking news. There's a new report out showing that the whistleblower was overheard in the White House in 2017 discussing with an ally about how to remove Donald Trump from office. More on this impeachment insanity in D.C. coming up in just a moment. But first, a quick reminder. Please be sure to share this video with your friends on social media. Your AMAC Weekly News starts right now. If there is anything that we have just learned from impeachment and what's happening in Washington, it's one very clear thing, and that is that liberals are going above and beyond to take away your vote. Not only your vote in 2016, but also the vote that you could cast in the 2020 election. Now, this impeachment coup took another step forward with the Senate impeachment trial now going at full steam after more than a month's delay by the Democrats in the House. Now, these were the same Democrats that said we must not wait to impeach Trump because he is such a big threat to our democracy. Well, it didn't take long before liberals were yelling and screaming that conservatives in Congress are now part of a cover-up. Now, remember, this impeachment was based on a, quote, whistleblower that did not directly hear a phone call between Donald Trump and the president of the Ukraine. And when this insane claim was presented by the left in Congress, Donald Trump, no pun intended, trumped them with the release of the call and the transcript for everyone to see. Now, there is now a bombshell report that has come out this week on that whistleblower. This new report by Real Clear Investigations shows that the CIA analyst, whose name was recently linked in a tweet by the president and mentioned by lawmakers as the anonymous whistleblower, is pretty shocking. Sources told Real Clear Investigations that the man, the whistleblower, was actually overheard in the White House discussing with another staffer how to remove the newly elected president from office back in 2017. Now, this happened mere days after the president was sworn into office. This report was confirmed by not one, but two former co-workers of the whistleblower. Now, the liberals based their entire case on the claims of this whistleblower, and it looks like that person had it out for the president from the moment he stepped into the White House. Now, don't worry, the media will not be telling you about this massive story that kills the credibility of the entire claim against the president. Nevertheless, the coup attempt continues on in D.C. Thank goodness President Donald Trump's lawyers are doing a great job defending him. Jay Sekulow actually used the liberals' own words against them during his opening remarks in the Senate. Sekulow condemned the House liberals' rush to impeach Trump, adding an article of impeachment for obstruction of Congress rather than litigating a matter of executive privilege in the court system. Sekulow also quoted House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Representative Adam Schiff, and Representative Nadler, each of whom defended Barack Obama's Attorney General Eric Holder when he was held in contempt of Congress in 2012. Take a look at this incredible takedown of the left by the president's lawyer on C-SPAN.
When the Russia investigation failed, it devolved into the Ukraine. A quid pro quo. When that didn't prove out, it was then bribery or maybe extortion, or somebody said, one of the members or the members of the House said treason. But instead we get two articles of impeachment. Two articles of impeachment that have a vague allegation about a non-crime allegation of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. On June 28, 2012, Attorney General Eric Holder became the first United States Attorney General to be held in both civil and criminal contempt. Why? Because President Obama asserted executive privilege. With respect to the Holder contempt proceedings, Mr. Manager Schiff wrote, "The White House assertion of privilege is backed by decades of precedent that has recognized the need for the President and his senior advisors to receive candid advice and information from their top aides." Indeed, that's correct. Not because Manager Schiff said it, but because the Constitution requires it. Mr. Manager Nadler said that the effort to hold Eric Holder, Attorney General Holder, in contempt for refusing to comply with various subpoenas was, quote, politically motivated, and Speaker Pelosi called the Holder matter, and I quote, a little more than a witch hunt. What are we dealing with here? Why are we here? Are we here because of a phone call? Or are we here before this great body because since the President was sworn into office, there was a desire to see him removed?
Now, Jay Sekulow didn't just stop there. He also went on to explain that the impeachment put forth by the liberals actually violates the United States Constitution. Watch this incredible explanation that he gave during the trial.
And what we just heard from Manager Schiff, courts have no role, privileges don't apply, what happened in the past, we should just ignore. In fact, Manager Schiff just said, try to summarize my colleague's defense of the President. He said it not in those words, of course, which is not the first time Mr. Schiff has put words into transcripts that did not exist. Mr. Schiff also talked about a trifecta. I'll give you a trifecta. During the proceedings that took place before the Judiciary Committee, the President was denied the right to cross-examine witnesses. The President was denied the right to access evidence. And the President was denied the right to have counsel present at hearings. That's a trifecta. A trifecta that violates the Constitution of the United States.
Now, President Trump's legal team is large and full of experts who are using the Constitution to expose this coup after liberal talking points are spewed on the Senate floor. For example, one of the president's lawyers reacted to the comments by Adam Schiff, who is determined to spew out falsities at every single turn. Take a look at this from C-SPAN.
It's very difficult to sit there and listen to Mr. Schiff tell the tale that he just told. Let's remember how we all got here. They made false allegations about a telephone call. The President of the United States declassified that telephone call and released it to the public. How's that for transparency? When Mr. Schiff found out that there was nothing to his allegations, he focused on the second telephone call. He made false, and his colleagues made false allegations about that second telephone call that occurred before the one he had demanded. So the President of the United States declassified and released that telephone call. Still nothing. Again, complete transparency in a way that, frankly, I'm unfamiliar with any precedent of any President of the United States releasing a classified telephone call with a foreign leader.
Remember, the Democrats in Congress have now given 86 different reasons why Donald Trump should be impeached. This includes one member of Congress saying that Donald Trump should be impeached for sending out mean tweets. By the way, the Constitution makes it very clear you cannot impeach a president for saying things that hurt your childlike feelings. Yet, Senator Chuck Schumer and Speaker Pelosi are leading this ridiculous coup against a duly elected president. And according to Schumer, they are doing this because they believe they have a constitutional duty. Take a look at this from Fox News.
No, I mean, we're doing this because we think we have a constitutional duty to do it. We think that this is what the Founding Fathers looked at when they said, how do we deal with a president who has abused his power, who has dramatically overreached, who has gone off track? And they came to the conclusion you couldn't wait 4 years.
Now, what's amazing about what they just said is the fact that somehow they don't seem to realize that they don't have to wait 4 more years, as they just stated. There is an election in less than 11 months. What they are doing is canceling out millions of Americans' votes. They're saying you are too dumb to be trusted with a vote, so they will fix your mistake and overthrow our government. Now, the funniest thing is liberals in Congress are mad because the Senate Majority Leader is throwing all of this back in their faces by using the exact same rules that they used and said were fair in the Clinton impeachment trial. Yes, the left said the rules in the Clinton trial were fair. Apparently, it's no longer fair to treat the president the exact same way that they treated Bill Clinton. Now, what's even funnier is they're also claiming that conservatives have an obsession with Bill Clinton. That's right. Jerry Nadler claimed that apparently this, quote, fixation on Clinton's precedent is weird. Take a look.
I just want to add that this fixation on the Clinton precedent is weird. The Clinton trial was conducted fairly, but distorting what happened there shouldn't make a difference. The question is, should you have a fair trial now? Any intelligent person knows that in any trial, whether it's for robbing a bank or for subverting the Constitution of the United States, the accusers, in this case the House of Representatives, bring in all the witnesses and all the evidence. The defenders can bring in all the evidence they want. That's how you have a trial.
Now, there's one fact that the media has done a terrible job of explaining to the American people, and that is, what is the whole point of a Senate trial? The point of the Senate is to be the judge and jury, and the point of the House is to provide the Senate with all of the evidence that it obtains during the research portion of impeachment. Now, since the House rushed the research, they are at fault for any and all evidence they believe now is missing. What this should be is just a simple presentation of what was found in the House, and then the Senate's job is to decide what happens from there. Instead, the Democrats, including Schumer, Pelosi, Adam Schiff, and basically all of their cronies, are claiming that they need a bunch of new evidence. You don't believe me? Watch this from what Schumer had to say during a press conference, claiming there's some big injustice being done when they literally didn't do their own job correctly. Take a look.
Leader McConnell promised his trial rules. You've heard this for weeks. Let's enact the same rules as the Clinton trial rules. He said we're going to get started in exactly the same way. It turns out the McConnell rules are not even close to the Clinton rules. And there are many places where that happens. Unlike the Clinton rules, the McConnell resolution does not admit the record of the House impeachment proceedings into evidence. So McConnell seems to want a trial with no existing evidence and no new evidence. No evidence. You can understand why. It's because he's afraid of evidence. So is President Trump. So are the president's men. A trial with no evidence is not a trial at all. It's a cover-up.
The truth is that the Democrats have no evidence. How many years did they carry on with the baseless Russia investigation and then yet found nothing? Now it's Ukraine, and they are still searching for evidence even after what was supposed to be an actual House trial. One of the best points made came from Kellyanne Conway when she pointed out that the Democrats are trying to argue two opposite ideas at the exact same time. She said the Democrats are arguing that they have enough evidence to actually impeach the president. Then they are arguing that they need new evidence and new witnesses. So which one is it? Because it cannot be both at the same time. Now, Conway went on to point out the complete inconsistency in liberals claiming the president was using a meeting as leverage to get Ukraine to do what he wanted. Watch this from her interview on Fox News.
Now the Democrats know about the whistleblower, are going to begin an investigation, and then on September 11th or 12th, the president releases the aid. You're saying it's a coincidence?
Yes. Why wouldn't it be? In other words, nobody has presented any evidence that it wasn't, and nobody's presented any evidence that the president ever intended to not get Ukraine that aid. And in fact, they have it. The other thing they're arguing about is the Ukrainian president the new president wanted a meeting in the Oval Office. Is important to him. We get requests from practically every head of state for meetings. And this gentleman got 2 meetings. If the vice president has a meeting with you, it's the president having a meeting with you. He's the number 2. They got elected together. He had a meeting with the vice president, I believe, in Poland. Then up at UNGA, for the whole world to see, he gets a meeting just months after he's sworn into office, 2 months after the parliamentary elections, about 5 months after his election. He has a meeting with President Trump. We couldn't fulfill all the bilateral requests at UNGA, the same way we can't fulfill them at Davos or the G7, G20, but we fulfilled that request.
The point is this: liberals in Congress are wasting our time and our taxpayers' money, continuing with this absolute sham and coup. Think about all of the things that they could have gotten done in the days, weeks, and months that they've wasted on trying to impeach the president of the United States mere months before the American people get to vote for themselves. This should infuriate every voter in this country. Now, the best part about all of this is that the liberals believe their best closing argument is one that is coming from a rapper. I'm not kidding. The Democrats literally quoted a gangster rapper in their closing arguments on the first day of impeachment hearings in the Senate. This is a new low even for them. Watch as Representative Jeffries quotes rapper Biggie Smalls to close out his impeachment speech.
And we are here, sir, to follow the facts, apply the law, be guided by the Constitution, and present the truth to the American people. That is why we are here, Mr. Sekulow. And if you don't know, now you know.
Yes, you just saw Democrats closing up a day of impeachment hearings on the floor of the Senate by quoting a gangster rapper. Well, at least the president seems to be keeping his sense of humor while doing real work for the American people at the World Economic Forum. Now, he did take a moment to tease the idea of him testifying in a Senate trial. Watch this from Trump when he talked on Bloomberg.
Will you show up at your trial any day?
I'd love to go. Wouldn't that be great?
So
Wouldn't that be beautiful? I don't know. I'd sort of love to sit right in the front row and stare at their corrupt faces. I'd love to do it.
So why not commit
I don't know. Don't keep talking because you may convince me to do it.
Do you think Cipollone and Sekulow would want you there?
I think they might have a problem.
Mr. President.
I think they might. And by the way, I think they've done a really good job. And I think the other side has so lied. I watched the lies from Adam Schiff. He'll stand, he'll look at a microphone, and he'll talk like he's so aggrieved. These 2 guys, these are major sleazebags.
Now, liberals in Congress can whine and cry that there aren't witnesses all day long. But it all goes back to the fact that they didn't do their job while this was in the House. We all know the president is innocent, and it's more important than ever for us to stand behind him as he battles the liars and the coup in D.C. We here at AMAC are ready to make sure that your voice is being heard by all of the people involved in D.C., and there are many people across the country that want to make sure that they're on the record and that their vote stands and is counted. That's it for this edition of your AMAC Weekly News. Quick reminder, if you haven't joined AMAC or renewed your AMAC membership, make sure you do it right now so you can receive this show and access to our incredible member benefits. Don't forget, you also get the AMAC magazine. And most importantly, AMAC is representing you and more than 2 million other conservatives on Capitol Hill every day. So make sure you join or renew today. I'm Ben Ferguson. I'll see you back next week for our next episode.